Hey, Vector, come here. Welcome to Dad Does, and today we are super excited. We have a Vector from Anki here. We have reviewed Cosmo before, one of the most popular videos we did with the Cosmo robot. Things have gotten better with Vector. Their Vector is on its charging base. Hey Vector, come here. So Vector now is controlled by voice commands. You still have an app you can use, but the key thing here is that you can use your voice. You don't even need the app to be running on your phone. Vector's got this super smart brain. Vector will come to you, recognize faces, take photos, can detect when he's close to an edge, motion detection, all types of cool stuff. Let's get into it. All right, so the key thing you need to know about Vector is he's very playful, so really cool. I don't know what to call this. Is it a toy? Is it a robot? Is it an AI pet? But basically, Vector can explore all around and do things like this. I'm not controlling Vector, just kind of mapping out all that's around him, has a wide angle camera in there, lasers. It's all this cool stuff to really check out what's going on around him. Facial recognition, as we said, obviously voice recognition, but you use voices to control Vector. We're gonna get much more into that. That block comes with Vector. You can play different games with that block. Over here is the charging base. Really cool thing about Vector is he will go back to his charging base on his own when he needs to be charged up. I'll say that again. So Vector's battery is low, just goes back to the charging base, charge himself up. So Vector is always on and ready. Check it out. Vector's playing blackjack there. That's one of the various games you can play with Vector. A lot of different skills. Things will be updated, over-the-air updates. A lot of cool stuff. Let's take a closer look at Vector himself. All right, so showing you a close-up of Vector so you can see. So lights on back here. There's a little button here. You like double-click that when you first set up the Bluetooth to first configure Vector. But these are sensors here, so you can pat Vector. Has some touch sensors there. Just wanted to show you the cool look to it. Has the treads here, the little like forklift in front. The screen is a big thing with those eyes, super expressive eyes. Can change all different shapes and just really give you a lot of emotion there. Has the camera built in there. We're going to go over all the specs, but a pretty advanced wide view camera so you can see what's going on. See, Vector doesn't like this. As I'm holding Vector, you see Vector doesn't necessarily like being held, so it's reacting to it. And again, that is one of the really cool things about Vector is that it's not like you have to program it or pick up an app or do things. Just do what you would do with, let's say you had like a little puppy, and then if the puppy didn't like it, would start doing things like this. You're like, all right, I'm going to put the puppy down. So really cool. And that's what Anki's going for here with the Vectors. I just kind of show you around. You can take a look at it, but it's something that is just always on and there to play with you. You can see a little bit the camera's picking it up because it can pick up infrared, but it has a sensor here, right down in here, so it can sense what's going on. Drop sensors on the bottom. We're going to get in. I'm kind of jumping the gun. We're going to get into all this specifically. One of the things I want to show, I'm going to put Vector down here. I'm going to bring in Cosmo because a lot of questions about how do they compare. Here is Cosmo, last year's robot from Anki, and similar in look, right? I'm looking at my Cosmo off right now just so they're not competing. You know, a similar kind of form factor, but Vector is much smarter. And the key thing is that Cosmo needed an app running to work, like your smartphone was Cosmo's brain. Not the case with Vector here. Has a very advanced brain himself, does not need your smartphone running, will explore all over, go back to the base, charge himself up. Really cool. All right, so to go over how you interact with Vector, you just say the wake-up phrase, which is, hey Vector. Once you say that, see the blue lights on back? That means Vector's listening for my next command. Right now I'm doing the video, so I'm not giving it, but then you could say like, what's the weather, set a timer, fist bump, play blackjack, all those cool things like that. And the app goes over all that. But that's pretty much the way it works. You just use that, hey Vector, give me a fist bump. You say what you want to do. There we go. Boom. And you have the fist bump. So just showing that to you there, and that's really the way you're going to work it, is you say that wake up command. But the other thing, again, I want to stress is you don't have to say much of it. I think you can just let Vector explore around. That's fun too. But when you say, hey Vector, that opens it up to all the different skills and different things that Vector can do. So one of the really cool things about Vector is what you're seeing here, just the ability of Vector to explore around, map out the terrain, not fall off tables, not really bump into things, but be playful. So that's one of the things which really separates it from Cosmo. We don't have the app running now, you know, kind of what we love Cosmo, but one of the knocks was that you needed the app running all the time for Cosmo to really function. This Vector is hooked up through Wi-Fi, has a very advanced brain, AI brain in there. So Vector is going around, can do all this exploring without the app. So really makes it, you know, your robot companion. Can be on all the time, will find his base, go back to it to recharge. So you can just have Vector exploring around, you know, and Vector sometimes plays with a cube, will bump into something, but just kind of like a fun, almost like a little AI pet that's exploring all around. And we really like that aspect. Showing here, look at that. Look how close to the edge Vector got there. Did not fall off, and even kind of reacts, you know, in a very funny way when he reaches the edge. So just really like that. The ability to explore around really makes it feel almost alive. Hey, Vector, look at me. So that's one of the cool things too with the array of mics it has, able to kind of figure out where the voice is coming from and turn around and look at you and come to you, so things like that. So you're seeing, well, you can tell by where the camera's moving. I'm moving around now, see? Right, my head's moving the same way the camera's moving. Vector's staying with me. So that's kind of just a fun thing there. And it goes to what's going on inside of Vector. A lot of really advanced technology in there. But of course, Vector looks super cute. You don't see all the cool cameras, wide angle, all that stuff. But a lot going on inside it, which allows Vector to play these different games and really interact with you. All right, you see the red light on Vector's back. This will be interesting. This is showing that Vector's battery is running low, and this is one of the more impressive things about Vector, finding his own way to his charging base. See that red light? And this is what's really going to change from kind of a toy you turn on and off and just use when you want to something you can just kind of always leave on. Vector will go back when its battery is low, charge himself up, so always available to play. So I think this is kind of a game changer here. We've been waiting for something like this because the problem with most toys or gadgets is you got to have them charged up all the time. Drones are terrible, you know, 6 minutes of fly time, then you got to charge them for an hour. But check it out. Vector has gone to his base, charging himself up. I didn't have to say anything, just knew that he needed a little nap. So I think that's really cool, and it just means that Vector will charge up, then later, Vector can come out exploring, you can play with him and all that cool stuff. Hey, Vector, take my photo. All right, wanted to show that's cool. You can use Vector as a camera, going back on the screen so we can see, and take photos, and those will show up on the app. I'm going to bring that up for you real quickly just so you can see it. All right, here's the photo that Vector took, you know, kind of weird lighting, so I'm trying to light this up in the studio here. But just kind of neat, you know, a fun thing, you can have Vector take a photo. And so here's what we're going to do. Vector is off exploring around out here. You know, sometimes in these videos, I feel like I talk too much, or you just want to see Vector. So what I'm going to do now is just give you some clips, various interactions with Vector, and you can get a feel for it. Hey, Vector, roll your cube. Hey, Vector, what's the weather?
46 degrees and windy.
Hey, Vector, I have a question. How many teaspoons in a cup?
One cup is equal to 48 teaspoons, standard.
Thanks, Vector. Coming in for the kill. There it is. The wheel stand. And you see Vector very happy with himself. All right, while you watch Vector explore around, I'm going to just go through real quickly some of the really advanced tech that is inside of Vector. One of the things we love about Vector is you don't need to know any of this. Just seems like a really smart robot, but just want to tell you, for people into some of the tech, what's inside. So Qualcomm 200 platform, that's pretty cool. So that means he's computing at like a smartphone level. Captive touch sensors, so he knows when he's being touched and held. Beamforming 4-microphone array, so he can recognize speech and where it's coming from. Ultra-wide HD camera, that allows him to do the facial recognition, detect motion, identify people. 4 drop sensors, this is key to detect edges so he doesn't fall off tables. That's a lot of fun when he explores. Infrared laser scanner, so he can track distance and map things out. He has a 6-axis inertial measurement unit, so he knows when he's picked up or moved. High-res color IPS display, that's that face, which allows him to convey those wide range of emotions. And he's Wi-Fi enabled, cloud connected. So a lot of cool stuff, a lot of technology in there. But again, we want to stress, you won't see any of it. You'll just see what seems to be a very smart, pet-like AI robot. All right, one of the things beyond using your voice to control Vector, also sensors. So you can pat Vector, and your Vector will react differently. So you can pat right here on the back. There's some sensors, so you can do some patting. Vector will get kind of happy with that. All right, real quickly, I'm just going to take you through some things on the app here. So I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but I do think one important thing we really want to make clear is that with Cosmo, you had to have the app running. That was like Cosmo's brain. The only way you could use it was with your smartphone. A Vector, totally different. Hooks up through Wi-Fi, do not need this app to be running at all, but some things in here if you want to check it out, like a status bar, sensory feed. Right now, Vector is charging himself up, so that's why you're not seeing anything here in the sensory feed here. But it's going to show you, it kind of gives you an idea of some things to try, like utilities here. It'll help you out with what to do. Think of it almost like, how Alexa does this, give you little hints of what it can do. So what's the weather? Let's say I want to know, how do I get Vector to tell me the weather? It tells you right there what to ask Vector. You say, hey, Vector, you always start with that. Vector just woke up as I said that. What's the weather in New York City? You do something like that, and Vector would tell you. Now, of course, this Vector's always on is going to be doing that in the background. I'm going to go back out of here. You can set a timer. One of the cool things, Vector can take a photo. What time is it? But again, just the facial recognition. We're not going to go through all this. Vector takes a photo. The photos are in here. But the cool thing, again, is this is like a little kind of cheat sheet. So it tells you, if you want to know how to do this, it tells you exactly what to say to Vector. So it's not like you're clicking here and sending this over to Vector. No, it's just showing you, again, Vector woke up as I said that, the different commands you can do with your voice here. So I'm going to go out here and just take you through some other things. Stats then, you can see all these cool stats about Vector. A lot of times you've used the wake word, how far Vector is driven, cool stuff like that. Again, not going to spend too much time in there. Entertainment. And blackjack, fist bump, play with a cube, dance to the beat, exploration, so all that stuff. And this is going to continue to expand. Like I said, as they continue to do updates on this, there'll be a lot more in here. Question and answer mode. This is where you can ask different questions of Vector, which is kind of cool. If you're doing cooking, need some nutritional information, stuff like that. Flight stats, all that. A lot more integration when the Alexa integration comes out, which will be in a December update. So this will get much more advanced of all the stuff Alexa can do. Right now, a little bit limited, but still there. And then interact. Just different, the tutorial videos here shows you greetings. You can have it quiet down if it's making too much noise. You can pat him, you can go to sleep. Good robot, bad robot, return to charger. So if you did want Vector to go to the charger, you could just say, go to your charger. Like I said, one of the really cool things is Vector will do that on his own when the battery is low. So just wanted to take you through that. And again, what I like probably the most, and it says here Vector is sleeping here, is that you don't even need this. And that really opens it up to a lot more fun, but one of the problems is if you have to have an app running all the time, your phone there doesn't feel like this thing really has a mind of its own. It feels like you're controlling it with your phone. But this just kind of is like a cheat sheet, some additional stuff you can do in here. But you can totally play with Vector just using your voice, touch, things like that. All right, so let's give our final thoughts on Vector here. So Vector is adorable, a lot of advanced technology, but what's cool, I use the word adorable, because that's what you see in Vector. You don't see all the sophisticated technology, the Qualcomm processor, all the additional sensors inside. You don't see any of that. You'll see something that's fun as you pick it up. Vector will react, has that forklift, won't like it might like kind of snap at your finger, will play blackjack with you, we'll set timers, we'll answer questions, so a little robot friend. Love the charging base here and how Vector will go back. We think that's kind of a game changer as Vector will always stay charged up. Love the fact that you don't have to have an app running to use Vector. The cube is fun. So let's go over some of the negatives. Right now, I feel like the microphone isn't as great as it will be once they do more updates. Still, sometimes you have to say, hey, Vector, a couple of times, so repeat the question. Of course, right there, I picked up right away as I was talking, so it does work pretty well. I do like how it has that beamforming microphone array, so it can hear you different places and follow you. But like I said, it's not always perfect. Right now, I must have said maybe ask a question, but he's in the ask a question mode. Vector, which can follow you around, be everywhere, and that I guess is probably our favorite thing about it is this ability of Vector to just explore around. So you're not turning it on or off. You of course can do that. You can make Vector be quiet, turn them off completely, but just have this thing which can just kind of move around and just do kind of fun things. You look over and Vector's on the table and he's like playing with a cube or mapping something out or almost going off the edge or making a funny face. So I think that's really fun. So overall, that's a quick look at Vector by Anki.